I'm Howard Phillips Lovecraft, and today's question comes to us from Joseph, who wants to know my thoughts on the penultimate installment in the series of children adventure films called The Avengers. In this particular film, there's this villain, Thanos, who comes from a planet of sentient aubergines, and based on, I presume, some sort of a remedial economics course, he has decided the best way to save the universe is to eliminate half of all living organisms. And he does so at the climax of the film, and in a moment that is known colloquially as the snappening. Now, Joseph wants to know just what impact the snappening would have on creatures from my mythos. Now, it should be pointed out that over the decades that Marvel has existed, from time to time they have taken inspiration from my work, if not out and out burgled my creatures, and as such there may be a genuine answer, but I don't know. Perhaps Yog-Sothoth is blinked out of existence, or maybe merely half his bubbles are popped. Maybe Nyarlathotep gets a sort of tummy ache look and says, "I don't feel so good, Mr. Azathoth." Perhaps the goat of 1,000 young is reduced to a more manageable goat of roughly 500 young. Who's to say? But more than my interest in what happens to half of all Zoog's amigo, I would be much more interested in just how this whole plan would impact things like, well, microbes. What happens if half of all bacterial life suddenly disappears? The impact alone on our gut flora could make up an entire movie by itself. Which might be a reason why I don't often get asked to write screenplays. Although I must say I did have a rather delightful conversation with my friends, the brothers Rousseau, and they were telling me how in the final act of the film, the whole thing was resolved when suddenly... Oh, come now, you're not all serious about this. This particular era's manic obsession and phobia for spoilers has simply gotten out of hand. Look, you spend so much time and energy trying to keep away from learning the minutest details of a narrative that you rob yourself of truly enjoying it. Taking pleasure from a story is not about just knowing what specifically happens point to point, but about the story as a whole. It's a journey. This is how adults appreciate art. Besides, I don't think it's a spoiler to point out that both MODOK and Beta Ray Bill are... Shh! Fine. Far be it from me to intrude upon the sanctity of your untrammeled cinematic expectation. Who knew I was surrounded by such a coterie of nerds and Dorcases? I do hope, if you're planning on watching this latest film, you will enjoy it, and that you plan out your urinary needs appropriately. As always, I'm Howard Phillips Lovecraft. Thank you.
Personally, I'm looking forward to the standalone Uatu film. I love that big bulbous noggin on that guy.